or the Strait as they call it, and I think it's going to go pretty quickly, and if it doesn't, we'll be able to finish it off one way or the other. It's going well. The Navy's gone, the Air Force is gone, all anti-aircraft is gone, the leaders are gone, the whole place is gone, so we'll see how it turns out.
At 0212 hours, two teams of Delta Force operators and Army Green Berets crossed into Iranian-controlled territory inside the Strait of Hormuz. No lights, no call signs, just the choke point that moves 20% of the world's oil. Their target sat behind overlapping radar nets and point defense batteries. One breach, one window, no second chances. This was not a rehearsal. Location: Northern Lane Overlook, Hormuz Coast. Units: AFO Delta, 5th Group Attachments. What they were sent to destroy, no one outside this briefing was supposed to know. And the clock had already started. The Strait of Hormuz is a 34 to 39 kilometer wide bottleneck at its narrowest, with two narrow traffic lanes split by a buffer. Roughly 20% of global seaborne oil passes here every day. Disrupt this corridor, and energy markets shudder worldwide. Iranian territory hugs the lanes, with shore-based launch sites and hardened positions. On the water, swarms of fast attack craft and drones tuned to harass and overwhelm. On the shore, radar systems cued to track anything larger than a gull. In late winter, the strait's status shifted from tense to blocked, and the warnings escalated. Aerial strikes followed to neutralize threats along the coast. Bunkers were cracked open with heavy penetrators. Warships probed the lanes, testing responses, asserting passage. Each movement risked escalation, but also gathered data. The picture that emerged: air alone would not finish the job. Someone had to go in and turn off the eyes, quietly, precisely, on a timer. Which is why, at 0212 hours, the team slipped across a line most never see and never admit crossing. Iran's coastal defense around Hormuz is layered: surveillance arrays, long-range interceptors, and point defenses that bite at low altitude. At the backbone sits Bavar 373, a long-range system designed to contest high-altitude corridors and anchor the grid. Closer in, Tor M1 snap up low flyers and cruise missiles, creating a lethal bubble over the shoreline. Linked by radar nets, these bubbles overlap to watch the lanes and the approaches. Hardened nodes tucked into hills and cliffs resist jamming and soak damage. Fiber runs tie sensors to command bunkers, keeping the network alive even after strikes. An air package pushing in blind against this net risks losses and mission aborts. Bomb from altitude and you hit decoys, not the brains. From the ground, you can cut the nerves, the radar heads and relay nodes. The mission was not optional. Step inside that shape, and every sensor wants to meet you. Patrols, cameras, acoustics, the defenses did not sleep. And the wind carries sound where you least expect it. To open a corridor, those nodes at Alpha and Bravo had to die within seconds of each other. Tasking flowed from theater command to special operations, a narrow window and a hard stop before dawn. The execute order landed the night before. Once in, no chatter, no lights, no compromise. Objectives: destroy radar heads, sever relays, and open a blind corridor for strike aircraft. Delta took the lead on close action and terminal clearance. The Green Berets handled charges, sensors, and contingencies. Kit was tailored for silence: subsonic rounds, thermal overwatch, and cutters for fence and fiber. Insertion by low-profile helos to a dark drop, foot infiltration to Alpha and Bravo, then egress by water. Insertion at 12 past, synchronized actions on target, and no later than 3 for exfil. Lift assets: MH-47s and MH-60s configured for low observable profiles and extended legs. Pilots would thread terrain and sea state while radios stayed dark. Charges were clocked to a single minute of truth. Contingencies covered patrol drift, weather shift, or a time slip. Once the door slid open, there would be no more votes. All that mattered was a dark stretch of rock, 2 targets, and a corridor that had to exist before jets arrived. At 022, skids crossed the line, radios off. Only IR strobes for friendlies, masked from the shore. First element slid to the perch. No chatter, just gloved taps and hand signs. The second team ghosted south to Bravo, vanishing under the cliff line. They moved on dead ground, under radar lobes the planners traced all week. At 0223, a pause for a patrol that never quite appeared, then onward. By 0227, they had eyes on Alpha, a radar head, a relay box, and a cable run begging to be cut. Fence went quiet in a single squeeze. Slow, patient, practiced. Charges kissed the metal, initiators taped, data line tapped to confirm the heartbeat. Bravo called visual with a single squeeze on a shoulder. Synchronized, silent. At 0231, timing was perfect enough to be dangerous. A single truck lingered and drifted, the kind of coin toss you feel in your teeth. Final check, final breath, final green. Stand by. At 0233, Alpha and Bravo vanished from the network. Radar heads down, relays severed. 2 nodes eliminated within seconds. The grid staggered. Exfil clock started the moment the light left the sky. A narrow, precious corridor opened over cold water. Strike aircraft slid in low, not loud, riding that gap. Penetrators walked into bunker mouths that thought they were safe. On the shore, confusion replaced confidence. Teams flowed downhill to water, still radio silent, still on time. Boats kissed the rocks at 0247, bodies and kit disappeared into the hulls. Searchlights started to ask questions the grid couldn't answer. Further offshore, rotors waited just above the skin of the sea. By 0258, last man up, window closed, the payoff. A breathing lane and fewer guns staring at it. This mission signals a playbook that blends precision air with surgical ground action to unpick dense defenses. It compresses the timeline between door kicking and runway launches. The balance in the strait tilts with every sensor blinded and every bunker cracked. Adversaries adapt. Doctrine shifts, decoys multiply, retaliation calculus changes. Likely responses: swarms at sea to harass escorts, missile riposts along the coast, or indirect cyber and proxy moves. Each path trades time for leverage, and risk for narrative. But the lanes remain physics and geography. Hard to close, harder to keep closed. The question is not whether there will be a response. It is how, where, and when. What do you think the next move is? A swarm at sea, a missile riposte, or a proxy strike far from Hormuz? Next briefing: the hidden logistics war that feeds these operations. Subscribe, hit the bell, and drop your assessment in the comments. This is Battlefield Brief. Stay sharp.